Hi, I'm Nina Lewis. I'm 17 and this is my fourth year on the CAP programme, and I'm here interviewing the wonderful Kerry Nicholls, who is a artistic director. Is that your official title?
Artistic associate.
Associate. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm
Awesome.
not 17.
No.
You're not going to ask me how
Don't
old
look
I
a
am,
day
Nina, are
older
you?
though.
You're lovely. This interview is going to go well.
I'm glad. So I'll just kick it off with so what do you enjoy most about teaching youth in particular?
Um, well, I guess, why I love working with youth and young people. It keeps me young. That's the first thing. Secondly, I feel like there's a real sense of joy and enthusiasm and curiosity for dancing. And I would love when everybody goes into training that somehow they keep that, but it gets a little bit analytical. And it also then gets a little bit deep, which then becomes a bit serious. And you have to take it seriously, like it's a career that deserves and demands, real dedication. But whilst you're in it day to day, I think there should be some kind of lightness, which then allows imagination to come in and to stay curious. And somehow, when it gets a little bit academic, the body responds in an academic, dry way. So I think the best thing would be is how can you keep a beginner mind? Now, I'm not saying youth only have a beginner mind, but I think, as an artist, you want to have a beginner mind and an expert body. And when you're in training, you start working on the expert body, but you still want to keep that beginner mind. And I think working with the cat especially, it's all about how do we feed that imagination and curiosity and come from there. So I think that's what excites me the most, I would say.
Yeah, brilliant. And next question, is there anything that you do every day that you think is really helpful to your career in dance, like your routine or anything?
Well, that's difficult in terms of pre-COVID and COVID.
Yeah.
Slightly different. But I would always get up and do yoga at 6 o'clock in the morning. Got my own little DVD, no, not my own, that I've made, a DVD that I like the most. And I start the day, I've got a really great little lounge with some nice windows that looks out in the garden. And I love the fact, especially in the summer, if you start yoga practice when it's dusk, and at the end of that you've done your practice, that the sun started to shine. That's my favorite time to do yoga. And then you've started the day in that way, with space and with joy and connected to nature. So yoga is the thing. I still do that in winter madly, when the practice starts in the dark, finishes in the dark, and it's great. But you try not to take the greyness into your body. So I think yoga, listening to music is a biggie. And really eclectic. And sometimes I love listening to it to lose myself in it. Sometimes I like listening to it to just jam around my lounge with no one watching. And then sometimes it's great to research as well, to have lots of different tracks in terms of getting a collection for choreography. So I think listening to music every day feeds me. So there's something about music, something about yoga, and reading. All different types of things. Again, whether it helps me choreographically or helps me get into somebody else's mind. So I would say reading, and then lastly, not so great at the moment, but staying on top of the news. Yeah. Just what's happening in the world and how can art stay relevant to what's happening. And that's really relevant now, obviously, in the times we're in, but even more so looking forward. But it also used to be part of my daily practice anyway, but I'd make sure it didn't dwarf me, because it can get quite depressing.
Yeah, it can.
So it's about balance. So I think probably it's good about going a little bit of news, then put on the music.
Yeah, and have a
and then forget it. Exactly. So it's the order of those things. But I think those four things help me in a daily way.
Yeah.
Is that any good for you, Nina?
Awesome. Yeah, definitely gonna incorporate some of those into my own routine now.
Come on, Nina.
So what makes a performance memorable for you? Are there any memorable ones you've seen recently that you would highly recommend?
Well, I'll answer the first question. I would say what makes something memorable for me is when I see an artist lose themselves in it. Now, there's something alongside that that's a little bit contradiction, but, I really love seeing a really good technician, but so that then the technique is completely invisible and you don't see it anymore. And then you just see the person and how they take you to another place. So the technique's got to be there, but I'm not led by it. I should let that be forgotten. And then to see if someone can take you somewhere else and you're thinking, actually, I'm in Sadler's Wells watching this, but actually I'm in a desert or whatever that is. If they can take you somewhere, that for me is memorable. I think there's also something about when the lighting, the music, the choreography, the costume, when it just all clicks, when you've got the whole production value. And I would say at this moment, anything by Crystal Pipe does it for me. She has some really great social comment alongside inventive material, but she just seems to have got all of the right amount of everything all at once.
Yeah.
Very clever. So anything by her is memorable right now.
Awesome. Yeah. About getting the balance right.
Yes.
Yeah. So is there anyone who has been most influential in the way that you dance or the way that you choreograph in your mindset?
I would say, Nina, that then I'm probably going to split it into three. I don't know if one person's done it all for me all the time. I think my mindset, I met an amazing lady who basically is my guru, called Liz Lerman, and she's an American writer, educator, choreographer. And I met her about 11 years ago, and she founded the critical response process, which is brilliant for feedbacking. But why I was instantly influenced by Liz was that we were doing a workshop at the Opera House, and there were quite a few big directors of lots of companies, and she's small, and I suppose then she was about 62, something like that by that point, and she had a real presence in the space, but she didn't take up space. So I loved that as an idea. And I thought she was the first female leader that I saw that was vulnerable and also is a very strong woman leader. And I think a lot of female leaders I'd seen before then were quite strong and quite aggressive. And I think you can be a female leader, but also lean into your vulnerability. And she's also a queen of questions. She's got such an inquiring mind. So she provokes me and asks me questions that take me elsewhere. She's amazing. 10 minutes with her and I'm fine for 3 months to be thinking about what she said. So she really inspires me. I think in my dancing, this might feel really obvious and it's also slightly strange, but I did ballroom before. I was just heavily influenced by Fred Astaire.
Yeah.
I thought, how easy does he make everything look? And I know I certainly don't dance like him, but there was something about the ease that actually, again, you didn't see his technique, you saw him and his enjoyment for it. So he made it look really easy. And I think that's a beautiful trait to have. So I say, I'm going to put Fred in there for my dance. And then choreography, I've mentioned Crystal. So I'm also now going to say William Forsyth. I think what he did for contemporary, coming from a neoclassical point of view, having ballet, understanding that crafting, but then also taking it for a 1980s, 90s audience. And then now also this real theatrical voice he's got. I feel like he's had so many different chapters of his career as a choreographer that you can go and see a piece of his and that's probably got 3 pieces in an evening, and every piece could be completely different. And I think that's really prolific as a choreographer, that you don't quite know what's coming because he has so many skills. So I think he is incredibly inspiring, and he's done a lot for improvisation. And I think especially for young people, I don't know, Nina, what you think, but I know when I was younger, I found improvisation quite scary.
Yeah.
What do you
I think
feel?
that's definitely, yeah, it's definitely a mindset I think a lot of people share. But I think Cat is definitely, it's definitely like broken down like my fear of it, I think, a lot. I mean, I still get nervous, as I think we all do, but yeah, it's definitely like the more you do it, the more the people, you just see the people around you embracing it, and it just becomes even more natural, second nature to you. Yeah.
I think that's brilliant, Nina. I think it's also about understanding that, you know, your classical classes that you have and your contemporary classes that you have, they're all brilliant and they're needed, but they're also the vehicle for you to be really risky in improvisation. So you find out how your body moves in those two areas, and then in improvisation you can kind of let them go, but they're there in your body because they're building blocks. So it allows you to be risky. But what William Forsyth does with all of his improvisation technologies, he also just allows you to get in with another entry point. So he adds lots of rules in there, so you don't feel like I'm just dancing about nothing. So there's a real scaffolding, but yet you can play with it. So I think he's really clever in terms of how he's allowed people to find a way into improv, because we all need to do it a bit more than we do, I would suspect.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, and there's also a lot of improv in auditions. So what would be some of your top tips for auditions, maybe potential applicants for the CAP program?
Oh, very nice segue, Nina. I think for me, in any audition, and I think it is about people who audition for CAT, I think it's about people like yourself about to audition for vocational. And hello, exciting. And then also the, you know, going from vocational into getting a job in a company. I actually think the main thing is the same in all three of those. And then I think that's lead with joy. It's so captivating when you see someone in the space and they're loving what they're doing. And they're so into it, they may go wrong, but they're in it. And I just don't mind. If you see the enjoyment and the curiosity, you know you're not going to have to drag them through training, that they're going to be there and they're excited about it. So I would say top tip is lead with joy. That would be the one thing. I think if I was going to be a bit academic, and I think this is across the 3 tiers that I've just said, I think there's something about, obviously in an audition, you get a little bit concerned about showing what you know. So you think, I've just got to show what I know. I've got to know everything. Well, you don't have to know everything, or else you wouldn't be going into CAT, or you wouldn't be going to vocational, and you wouldn't be getting a job. You know, you're getting those openings to learn more. So you don't have to worry if you don't know everything. But there's this element, I've got to show what I know. And I think it's kind of interesting to flip that and just go, I'm just going to show how I learn.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested to see if somebody's a team player. I'm interested if somebody goes, oh, I got that wrong, but I'm going to practice at the side. So the next time I come in, I'm going to have got it better. So I'm looking for all of the ethic of how you learn, not necessarily, are you this brilliant package that is great already? So I would say showcase, you know, your personality and how you learn alongside joy.
Yeah.
That a good tip, Nina?
That's a brilliant tip, honestly. Yeah, I think I need to definitely remember that for
we'll put it on audition. A t-shirt for you, Nina.
Please, I will wear it every day.
I've got another one I've just thought about, which I think is important, and I might have said it to you, Cats, but a brilliant quote from Roosevelt, which is, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah, I remember.
And I know when you go into audition, the first thing you want to do is look around you and kind of check, you know, where you are in the group. If you're doing that, you're not involved. You're not leading with joy. You're leading with panic on the rest of everybody else. So I think try and get comparison out of the way and be yourself, show your excitement and show how you learn. And Nina, you'll have it in the bag.
Definitely. Yeah. Awesome. And so when you're choreographing, you have lots of different, very unique techniques of creating work. So how did you find out what worked best for you when choreographing?
I still don't know that, Nina. I think that's the beauty of choreographing, really, is you don't quite know what you need until you're in the moment. So I'm very led by the energy in the space. I think, you know, some of these techniques, and, you know, I kind of call them tools as well, that I've kind of created, they were always once a spontaneous idea. that I'd never tried. And you do it kind of once and you think, oh, actually, that was quite an interesting result. Then you do it the second time with another group and you think, oh, actually, that there's something interesting come out of that. Then you keep repeating it. You keep like polishing it and keep refining it. And then you go, oh, that might be a technique. And then it becomes a tool for yourself. So those have all come from spontaneous moments. And sometimes those tools work and sometimes they just don't. Yeah. So it's about having a big toolkit, but also being aware in the moment, thinking, oh, something of that technique actually worked, but this part doesn't. How can I evolve it? So, I think it's really about looking at the group in front of you and seeing what the piece needs in that moment. Now, the other thing that I'm excited about is trying to push the dancers in front of me to not do movements they've done before. If I see something they've done in class already, I'm seeing class and I'm not seeing my choreography. Yeah. So I try and put so many rules or tools in there so that you're moving in a different way. So I'm trying to break kind of habitual ways of moving. So that's, I suppose, where the premise comes from. But I'm really happy to be led by the people in space and also realise that that tool didn't work. Nina's not paying attention. So how can I make that tool get her with me?
Never,
and then
Kerry.
I know, Nina, you are always there. But, I think it's good to have a toolkit, but I think it's also good to go away from the toolkit.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd say that's quite a few years of practicing, Nina.
Yeah, very exciting. Get into that. Daunting, but yeah. And so when you start a creative project, do you usually have like an aim? You sort of touched on it before, but do you go into a project thinking this is roughly what I want to come at the outcome, or do you just sort of?
I don't think so. Go with the flow. I don't think so because obviously that doesn't mean I haven't done any research. No, so I'll have done research on music and I'll have done a research kind of on concept, but more or less I'll go into a process and have 3 different directions. So I'll probably have tripled my workload. And then kind of go, actually, after seeing the group for about 10 minutes, I'm thinking, oh, maybe it's this direction. Lean into that for a couple of rehearsals. And if that feels right, stay with it. If it doesn't go with, I'm really led by the people in front of me. So, I could also say, I really think this piece of music is going to work. And when I see you guys dance to it and go, no, it doesn't, they're not responding to it, then, you jump ship very quickly. Yeah. Or this is the balance about choreography, though, that I think is interesting, is sometimes when you think that they're not going with it, do you let it go quickly or kind of go, actually, they're not easily getting with it. Actually, that might be interesting for them in 2-3 months' time, and then that might become a place of their loving it. So it's a really tricksy balance, but I think it really depends on the people I'm working with and also what the outcome is. If it's going to be 5 people dancing in a shopping centre, I'm going to have obviously thought about a certain way. If it's about a 3rd-year graduation piece and all of their parents are coming to see them and they've got 6 dates to shine, that also is going to have a very different output. So there's lots of things to take into account, but I never have the steps done already. I've never really, I think I've done it once where I've got the sound score complete and I've gone, I will make it to the score. Sometimes I try and get my composer to collage a little bit. And sometimes I start and then I add more stimuli as I go along, whether it's postcards or other pictures or text. Yeah. But I don't think I have it all at the beginning because the piece evolves with the dancers and with my thinking about the subject area. So it kind of evolves.
Yeah, that's really interesting to hear about. So and you in your classes you always fit a lot in, and I always feel like I've learned a lot from them. So what do you feel like makes the best learning environment for a class?
Are you saying I'm too fast, Nina?
No,
there's just like a lot in there.
No, it's just like, it just feels like it's just so much, but it's all useful. There's just so much usefulness, I really derive a lot of utility from your classes.
Oh, I'm going to put that on my website, Nina. I'm going to get that quoted. That's brilliant. I suppose, trust. As a participant, you have to trust yourself to take risks. I think you have to trust me that I know where the class is going. I have to trust you to step up to the mark, and there's a lot of trust, and it's a two-way process. I think trust is a biggie. In terms of my environments, I always like to be led by 3 fluctuations, I call it. And you'll have to tell me if you've sensed these in my environment, because you're getting inside information, Nina. So my fluctuations, I really enjoy nurture in the space. I think it's really good to encourage people. And not okay, today I now must encourage them. I mean, I just generally love being with people, encouraging. So there's this real sense of nurturing, but then rigor. We have to work hard. And, sometimes I think if you have too much of a nurturing experience, you don't get work done. Or if you have too much rigor and it's a little bit strict, nobody feels brave enough to make mistakes. So I like to have a healthy balance of nurture and rigor. Did you feel that in my classes?
Yeah, definitely. I feel
that's
like there's a
right answer.
Good balance.
Great. So that's the first one. My second one is about freedom and structure.
Yeah.
So, definitely my classes have structure. Definitely I've planned, I know where we're going, but somewhere in there, in terms of how you play and how Nina can come forward, there's a real freedom of how you can interpret what I give you. So I like to find the balance of freedom and structure. Did you feel any of that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like you definitely give us opportunities to sort of express ourselves, but I always feel like I've got that base, the structure that
Brilliant.
Is there, is supporting me. I feel supported.
That's brilliant. And then the last one is individuality and community. So, it's really about how can you be the biggest that you can be? How can you fly in those classes and bring 100% of you to the work, but then also being aware of your teammates, who's behind you, who's in front of you, who's at the side of you, what energy are you building together? And so we're really building this sense of community. So for me, those are the 3 things that we talk about all the time: nurture and rigor, freedom and structure, and individuality and community. And then I think if you've played with all 6 of those things in a class, you're doing all right, especially if it hangs together with a bit of trust.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. See, this is what I mean. There's just so much.
It's dense.
Brilliant. Yeah. It's obviously very helpful. So after class, do you have a favourite post-dance snack or meal? Important question here.
Very important. I mean, this is what the whole interview's been gearing towards, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure a meal. I think, I don't know about you, but I'm like red-faced. You've seen me. I'm a beetroot. I'm hot. The last thing that I think is roast dinner from that point. I think dinner, no. And I think this has also kind of changed a bit because I've gone vegan, Nina.
Yeah.
And also gluten-free. So I can have air or dust a lot of the time. So it's good. So I've now found my favourite snack to be, those Kind bars.
Yes.
Kind bars. And they've got a dark chocolate and sea salt, which is gluten-free and vegan.
I see.
And that is it for me. It's a bit chewy, hardcore straight after class, but other than that, it's nuts and nuts and nuts. And that's just been this year whilst I've been a vegan. And I'm a berry girl. Raspberries.
Yes.
Strawberries. That's kind of it. It's very rock and roll, Nina, isn't it?
Yeah. It excites me when I see the strawberries on the snack table.
On the snack table. What's your favourite snack? What do you grab for?
I don't know. Depends. Depends what's on the snack table. I like a Belvita after ballet.
Yes. Ballet, Belvita. See where
ballet,
it goes.
Belvita.
And then contemporary.
Contemporary. Then we usually have lunch.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
But then, and then in the afternoon, I'll have I don't know. I might have a bit of fruit, an apple or something.
Sounds very healthy.
Some juice.
Some juice. We're on the same we're on the same wavelength, Nina, I think.
Yeah.
But if you haven't tried that Kind bar, that's the one to try. Very good.
Brilliant. And you talk a lot about kinesphere in your classes, which we love, obviously. And so how much do you think about kinesphere in your everyday life?
Now it's funny because I feel like I've been removed of my kinesphere over COVID.
Yeah.
So it's a really brilliant question, because I feel that because I don't have it as much, I want it more, and I realise how much it was important to me. So I suppose everyday tasks at home. Am I aware of it? I mean, I just, I'm very different to Liz that I said, she said she's got a presence, but she takes up space. I take up space, and I will, I'll reach out of my center. I don't just go to, I will, I'll stretch and I'll be in there. But also, kinesphere that we talk about, which Nina, is also connected to aura and this energy field that you give out. And whilst the last 7 months have been very Zoom heavy, I haven't been on Zoom stretching through my kinesphere, but I've been very interested in aura and energy still hopefully coming through the screen. And I think that is part of your kinesphere. So I think my kinesphere has been quite as a tunnel, but it's still been there, a bit more forward and backwards, whereas before it was 360, and in class we talk about 360. So I'm very aware of my aura. I'm very aware of my energy. And kinesphere, I noticed yesterday I went to the Royal Ballet School to teach them a mock audition class, actually. And there was somebody at the end who was watching. They had a big panel, bless them. And somebody said something lovely at the end of class. And I patted him on the shoulder from behind. It wasn't a student, but patted him on the shoulder from behind. And it was like, I absolutely knew that I was going from my kinesphere to his, but it felt so natural. And I was keeping my 2 meters and still reaching over to his shoulder, knowing that. And afterwards, I was like, that just felt so wrong to have a kind of communication and not reach into somebody else's kinesphere. It's odd for me. So I would say it's important in everyday life for me, Nina. I'm really starved of not being able to hop into somebody else's or reach them into mine. I think it's really difficult. But I'm thinking about kinesphere in a very different way now we're on screen. And so I still feel it's not void, but it's a different way of thinking about it.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of lampshades and sofas in your kinesphere at the moment, especially when dancing.
Have you been choreographing with your lampshade?
My choreographing with my lampshade. I can't say that I have. I actually took it off the ceiling because I just kept whacking it while I was dancing.
You're just too leggy and long, Nina. That's the thing. I wouldn't have that problem. But that's what it is. So do you feel like you have an awareness of your kinesphere, or not really? I mean,
I feel like I definitely do. I think about it a lot more since being in your classes, Kerry, which I think is lovely. But yeah, it's been weird, especially over the past 7 months. Just it feels kind of, you're very internal, and it's hard sometimes not to have that. But yeah.
I think maybe this is something I just thought about, Nina. Maybe it's about how can we stretch our kinesphere in our imagination. If we can't do it physically, how can we expand it internally? And again, on screen now and talking to you, I can absolutely sense your energy.
Yeah.
So there are some messages coming through that from your kinesphere to me, which are authentic and brilliant and shining. So it's just a different way of reasoning it. I think another thing I thought about in terms of kinesphere, and I do think about it now you mention it, being in London pre-COVID, rush hour, and you've got 20 people in your kinesphere, and you're actually thinking, could you get out of my kinesphere? So it's interesting when you want to invite people in, and actually then when it suffocates you and you don't want it. But and that's what the studio is brilliant for. That that you have ownership over who you let in and who you don't. That's the beauty of being a dancer and knowing your body and working with people who also know their body in that way. It's a brilliant concept.
Definitely makes you appreciate it more, and then like going back to studio from working at home, you just appreciate it so much more.
How's that been going back? What have you loved about it? I know this is supposed to be my interview. I'm just asking if you could say 3 things that's just brilliant about being back in the studio.
I love just drawing everyone else's energy, because I feel like through a screen, it's you can sense only so much, I feel, and especially when you're dancing and everyone's like 2 centimeters big. It's just
Yeah.
really nice to have the energy of everyone else while you're dancing. And I have to say, as much as I love dancing on my sofa, it's nice to not have it there.
I'm
And
sure.
yeah, and to be able to just move a lot more freely in my 2 meter box.
It's
And
good.
yeah,
And then what's your third thing? If you could,
my
I'm
third
pushing you for a
thing.
third thing.
Um, I like also like people, and I like my space, and I just like I like being able to hear the music properly as well, because in a studio you
Makes a
can really
difference.
feel it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas on Zoom it's a lot harder to really, and you can pick up on all the subtleties of the music as well, I feel,
Brilliant.
when you can actually hear it. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's been nice.
I'm glad
But
that's
yeah.
working. I'll not ask any more questions now. I'll resume my position.
No, that's awesome. So also, I was just wondering, your hair just it remains perfect all the time. How do you do it? Especially when
Um,
you're dancing.
uh, well, I think I've let you down. It's not so perfect today, is it? I've let
No,
you down, Nina. Uh, mm, how do I do it? I don't know, Nina.
yeah, I don't know. When I had a fringe,
Yes,
it would, I don't know. When I was dancing,
it would wave and flicker.
it would
Would it? It would
yeah,
wave at you.
it would
Yeah.
wave. It'd be
Um,
crazy. But I feel like your hair is it's a cooperative hair.
cooperative. I'm putting that on my website as well. Kerry has cooperative hair. I don't know, Nina. I have a very good hairdresser who I've had for about, and we were thinking about this the other day, I think about 17 years. So you
Wow.
have a little bit of a connection with your hairdresser, and I love him. And he's done pretty much the same hairstyle for those 17 years. I mean, I'm a creature of habit. I love Louise Brooks, I'm 1920s kind of flapper girl. Just love that kind of era. And I don't know what I think you haven't seen me enough. It does really move when I dance, believe me. Yeah, so you're just being very kind. But now you've given me pressure. I will next time we do class, I'll keep it at a level for you. Yeah.
Awesome. And is there anything that you are looking forward to in terms of Cat or just your dance in general?
Oh, well, let's answer those two things then. Cat. I love my responsibility in Cat. I love feeling connected to you. And what I find really interesting is that I don't see you every week. I'm not saying that I love that part, but I'm able to have a little bit of distance and then come back and kind of go, God, that person's grown. God, I didn't expect that. So I've got a little bit of distance, even though I'm thinking about you all the time. But to then see the progression, it's really clear for me. So I really enjoy seeing people's journeys, and they're really clear. So I love that. And what I'm excited about is this cohort for Cat this year is just brilliant, I think. Lots of different ages, lots of different interests, but a real, from what I sensed in the audition, kind of like a fiery energy. I hope I'm not wrong there. So I'm excited to see that, but also a little bit like we touched on, because you've been starved for 7 months. I'm excited to see now everybody's excited to be back. It's a very special moment to kind of go, we didn't have that. We've really missed it. Now we're going to make this change and we're going to make this matter. And I think it's a really exciting time for that, and to lean into what you've missed and make this really important. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with the rest of this year. And also hopefully to get a handful of you into further training would be exciting as well, if that's where everybody wants to go. So that excites me, starting a journey with people. And then I think what's exciting me about dance in general, I think it's a really important time where obviously a lot of things have been, crushed and broken. And there's a real opportunity to rebuild, but rebuild with really good systems in place. And I'm really excited to see what art can do at this time, because we need it. So I think there's a real sense of community more than we had 7 months ago, and a real sense of people helping each other. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that support can help us be even better as an industry. So I'm excited about all of that. I'm actually in quite a good place, Nina. I'm excited about it all.
It's all it sounds very hopeful and exciting. And I can't wait to continue with my journey with Kat and to further education, hopefully, maybe.
Yes, I'll be watching you. No, we'll be guiding you that way, Nina. Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's pretty much all I've got for you today. Is there anything else you wanted to say? Yeah.
No,
awesome.
It's been an absolute delight. And if anybody out there is thinking about joining the CAT, please do.
Yes.
It's an amazing opportunity to be part of a family, and to find out more about yourself, even if you don't want to be a dancer. So, and I think, Nina, you're a brilliant ambassador for us for that. So,
awesome.
Yes, come and join us.
Yeah, would highly recommend. It's an awesome experience. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Nina, for your time. Lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you too.
Bye.
Bye.